success of this particular move will help us to provide trainings to the farmers and increase productivity. Thank you very much.
Engineer Oke Ugu and Mr. Anthony Lewis of Fair Food, thank you very much. What a double act and what a wonderful story, well presented. So let's hear it from them again as they return to their seats. Thank you. There will be opportunities for you to engage with them either on the panel session or outside of that. So please note your questions down and really engage with the presentations that we've just seen. I appreciate the fact that the information is just being delivered and there's nothing being received. Okay, so we're now going to move to the very last of the 3 presentations of experiences from the field. This presentation is going to be delivered by one of our major sponsors of this event. I think it's important to recognize that we can only deliver these if we have sponsors, and Pro CASHEW are going to come up now in the person of Mr. Olorunfemi Oloruntoyin, the country director, USDA West Africa. They're a sponsor, Pro CASHEW. Please welcome him very warmly. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm standing on a system protocol, and I'll be sharing our experiences from the field. But before I do that, I would just like to give just a little brief about CNFA, who we are, and what we do. So CNFA is a non-for-profit organization headquartered in the US. And our work is rooted in eliminating hunger through investments in agricultural development projects in emerging and developing economies. And it's sustained global commitment. You'll find that our vision is a prosperous world without hunger. CNFA has projects in Africa. We have projects in South and Central Asia. We are also in Europe, where we implement different value chain projects. In Nigeria, we are implementing 2 projects. One is the Feed Future Agricultural Investment Project funded by USAID, which seeks to strengthen and enabling environment for finance, for agribusiness financing and investment. And the second is the Pro CASHEW. I'll be discussing the Pro CASHEW here today. The Pro CASHEW seeks to improve efficiency and quality in trade and production. It also seeks to increase competitiveness of West African producing countries. At the moment, we are working in 5 countries: Nigeria, Ghana, Benin, Burkina Faso, and Ivory Coast. And one of the objectives also is to see how we're able to develop a more coherent regional trade and investment policies. We have expected outcome. It's a 5-year project. And what we are looking is that at the end of this project, all our partners and beneficiaries should have been able to, increase in annual sales. And we have a target of 133.6 million. It is also expected that we should have reached 359,800 beneficiaries. We're also looking at being able to unlock finance. We are looking at being able to unlock finance for farmers and other stakeholders. And we have a target of $3.7 million. And lastly, in doing all of this beautiful work, we should create job sustainability. We need to create jobs, and we have a target of 340. Now, in Nigeria, we have about 16 states that produces cashew. Unfortunately, there are no data on the production potential of these states, and I think this is also something we need to look into. Data is a big issue. From previous speakers, this came to play. The first speaker talked about 140 metric tons. The second speaker talked about 200 to 240 metric tons. So what do we do to ensure that we have usable and quality data? So for ProCashew, we are currently in 7 locations, although we have 5 shaded. We are in Oyo, Kwara, Ekiti, Kogi. In FCT, we have a partner that we are working with. It's Vectors, is a processor. And then we've recently moved to Edo State and Ogun State, where we are training farmers. Please, can we move to the next slide? So, the project is designed around 5 components. Capacity building, we have grants, development of agro dealers and input suppliers, improve market information, and the last activity component has to do with policy. As I move you on, walk you through the slides, you will see how our activity speaks to the various components. Now, to better understand the problems, the first thing we did was to conduct a baseline survey. And typical of any project, the first thing is to try to establish the needs assessment. But for us, we got stuck. It was difficult to define what the exact needs of farmers was, what were the varieties, and farm size. In summary, farmers were not keeping records. We all know we have targets, and targets are built around baselines. We could not even do common extrapolations because this was a very big problem. So we asked ourselves the question, why do we have this problem? And to answer why, or to uncover the why, we commissioned a study. This study has to do with cashew research and production landscape analysis. So we attempted to look at what is in the production and the research, landscape. We uncovered a number of gaps. For instance, we saw there was little or no extension services provided for some farmers. We also saw that, and you know that if extension services is low, of course, yield will be what? Yield will be low. If extension services are not there, you can't expect farmers to, understand the value proposition of keeping records. And that is why you also find that the records are not there. We also discovered through the last research landscape analysis that Nigeria don't have cashew variety. Yes, this may sound funny. What we have, we can just call them accessions or biotypes. And what do I mean by that? They are identifiable sample of seeds representing a cultivar. And that's why if you go to some locations, they will tell you we have jumbo cashew, Brazilian cashew. These are sample of seeds representing these cultivars. Sometimes, in fact, currently, it's even widening up now. Some people will tell you we have large jumbo, medium jumbo. It's as bad as that. So these are some of the insights we got, from the research landscape analysis. We also realized through the research landscape analysis that a lot of farmers are just on a yearly basis, they keep expanding farms, establishing new farms. We saw more of agricultural extensification. But the results come back to be the same: low productivity, low production. I'm sure in our minds we already know what it means when there is no variety. What do you expect a farmer to get when it's using recycling seeds? And because the research element is missing, there is a need for us to go into what we call agricultural intensification. Farmers, and over time, there may be crisis of conflicts between land for food production and for tree production. And that is why we need to take research very, very serious. Currently, as I speak, if not for Farm Fair, who said there are improved planting materials, from the focus group discussion we conducted recently, over 90% of the farmers were engaged with used recycled seeds. There are no cloned varieties. There's nothing new. Now, having known all of this, what do we do? Like I said, I know we have some monitoring and evaluation experts in the house. We do a lot of extrapolations. So we need to know the level of effort that is required for whatever intervention we're implementing on the field. Are we overworking ourselves, or do we need to, take it slowly? So we now commissioned the yield survey. Now, from the yield survey, we were able to see that the average cashew farm in Nigeria is about 1.6 hectares. And an average cashew farm in Nigeria is 1.6 hectares. And this is as a result of going to physically measure the farms. Just to also see that you cannot even rely on online information to get usable or quality data. Because sometimes when you even attempt to go online, you get confused. So many informations, flying everywhere. We also realize that cashew farms are overcrowded. From the farms we went to and we counted the number of trees, the average trees we saw was about 207 per hectare. And what does this mean for us? We need to do more work in the area of research and extension. I'm also happy to see that, because some 10 years ago when I did the first project on cashew, I managed the Walmart Foundation project that was under TechnoSouth. And during that time, the average age of farmer was running into something like 70 years. But now we see 55 years. So we should not have problem with early adopters or begging farmers to come and sit down to receive training. Those times also, the percentage of women attending our program was very low. But now, we can see that 30% of cashew farmers are now women. Next slide. Now, our capacity building project, activity, how do we structure this? We structured that using a market system facilitation approach. We recognize the fact that we're NGOs, we're not business people, and we allow the business people to take over the scene. So, the business people are the players here. We are the strategists. We are supporting them technically, but we allow them to take over the scene. Now, we provided grants for processors who are actually interested in developing their supply chain. We don't want to put that burden on them to invest too much money and all of that at the same time processing. But we decide to share cost with them, to share that burden with them, so that they are able to also put some, effort in owning and strengthening their relationship with smallholder farmers. We also realize that most of the cashew processing companies, they have a very big team in their procurement, and most of them are idle when the cashew season is over. So we find a way to leverage these guys, give them some training so that they can become extension agents. So far in Nigeria, we were able to provide 2 people grants, 2 companies grants, and to date, they've been able to train 10,000 farmers. Thank you. On the extension, please go back. On the extension support, what we do is to support with training materials. provide stepping down support, also train during training of trainers, and also do some follow-up to provide additional review to our partners. In the course of this project, something remained unclear. We keep talking about premium to farmers, but in real sense, how do we give premium to farmers? We saw only two things. We saw only one thing, not two. And the only thing we saw in the field is that there are different price points. The first price point is wet cashew nut price and dry cashew nut price. If you take a step further, you also find that bulk of the money or incentives that goes to the dry price goes to the middleman. Very low goes to the farmer. So, is there premium? Is this value chain? I think I leave the answer to us to answer. I leave the question for us to actually answer whether there's premium or not. But because of that, and the way we are going about the training, giving opportunity to companies to own their value chain, we decided to also promote organic certification. Because we believe that through organic certification, the farmer will definitely get premium. And as I talk to you today, one of our processors, before the end of the first quarter of this year, is going to pick the organic certification. Please, next slide. Now, how do we solve the why? We've seen the what. Now, this is how we are going about solving these problems. To date, we've distributed 240,000 polyclonal seeds to farmers in Oyo, Ogun, Edo, and Enugu states. And after the distribution, we also follow up to establish the number of farmers who have actually planted the seeds. So that is a work in progress, but so far so good. We've been able to establish that 226 hectares has planted these polyclonal seeds. This year, we are going to import 600 Zions of improved Zions from different countries, Tanzania, Mozambique, Benin. We're also looking at Ivory Coast, these 4 countries, because we are particular about ensuring that we are able to achieve true to type quality. If we bring in a Zion and say, okay, this Zion is going to give you XYZ, because it is a Zion and we're going to graft it, yes, it should be able to give us that amount of yield. So we are bringing in 600,000 and we are trying to cause a revolution now to change the narrative. If you look at all our training materials, we need to change the narrative. We are still teaching use of seeds. We are still teaching pruning. I'm not saying pruning is not good, but other countries have moved to top working. They've moved to grafting. So we need to sit down and look at the training, curriculum and see what are those things, that should be, changed or upgraded. Now, we do not have a base, a genetic base, where we can go and say we want to source improved planting materials. And because this is a big problem also, we are working closely in all of this, very closely with Cocoa Research Institute of Nigeria to establish for the first of its kind Zion Gardens in Nigeria. Currently, there are no Zion Gardens. They also call them gem banks. And then we're looking at, tagging along with the private sector and the government in establishing these, Zion Gardens. Community nurseries. We find that because we are used to using seeds, there are no nurseries anywhere. And I think the starting point is, how do we demonstrate the value proposition to get farmers to understand that they need to, start using seedlings. And I believe that all this work with Cocoa Research Institute of Nigeria We're equally working with FMAD. We have a number of stakeholders that we're working with. Before now, we've been discussing with GIZ. We have a steering committee that was established by the Federal Ministry, Agri and Rural Development, by the Honorable Minister. And a lot of these issues have been put into perspective. So we are trying to introduce community nurseries. I can see from the presentation this morning by Katrina, the number of some of the things I've said is also what they are doing. I hope we will not be confusing the sector. We need to collaborate. We need to build synergies so that, these things can have a greater impact on the farmers and on the nation. And lastly, there is the mother tree selection. This is a very important activity for Nigeria. There are some super great trees, super performing trees that we need to identify and also use them to set up, a Zion garden so that we can always go to these places to take these gardens or this gem bank to pick Zions and multiply for farmers. Data integration is also one of the components of the project. I mentioned initially that without even presenting this slide, I believe it has presented itself because it played out this morning and it's something that we're going to play out. We must find a way of resolving or addressing the issues around data. And what we are trying to do as CASHEW or CNFA, we are taking a step further. As NGOs, development organizations, we have knowledge and learning platform. We want to co-share our knowledge and learning platform with our private and public stakeholders. So that at the end of the day, these learnings don't just go with CASHEW. It stays with the private sector. It stays with the public sector. And we now have a credible place where we can source information. So because of this, we are building what we call the CASHEW in, and we are soliciting support from African Cashew Alliance, a number of people who provide information online so that we can streamline those kind of informations we give out on the cashew sector. And some of the areas we are currently looking at is research on yield for each variety, diseases, production and supply, quantity of RCM produced, process. So all of these are going to be, embedded in the cashew in. And when we are leaving, it's not just that the program is over, CASHEW is over, but we have something that we have shared, we're giving out to the public and private sector. Let's move on. Our work on policy basically has been more of advocacy. We've been engaging with FMAD, engaging with a number of government institutions as well as private. And so far we are currently sponsoring a study on policy. In collaboration with FMAD also, we're able to, for the first of its kind, establish the steering committee where we put our members from over 26 agencies. We have the CBN on this committee. We have Netzim Bank. We have Bank of Industries. We have virtually everybody. So it's a quick win for you if you want to meet anybody to discuss anything that has to do with the cashew sector. We have Crane. Everybody is here. The only two people that are not here that we're still discussing with is Nigerian Governors Forum and the World Bank. We've had meeting with them and very soon they'll be part of this steering committee. And during our meeting with the minister, a lot was said. So the minister has mandated us to produce a 5-year strategy document for the Nigerian cashew sector. So far the committee has met twice. But normally in politics, democracy comes with soldier go, soldier come. The minister we're working with then had been changed. So we need to go and start all over again. But I want to really use this opportunity to thank FMAD, Mr. Christopher and Mr. Usman for their support. They've ensured that these changes do not really draw us back. Yes, Mr. Christopher, right? So stand up for recognition. If I don't know your name, please. I'm referring to you. Stand up for recognition. Both of you. Yes. Thank you. Mr. Okata. Thank you, sir. I always shake you too much, so maybe that was why. So they are very good people. They are go-to persons when you get to the ministry and you want to have any discussion with the minister, these people are go-to persons. They have the farmers at heart. So whenever there are changes like this, they make sure that it's not too, we don't feel it that much. Next slide. Just to show you some pictures. The minister actually issued letter of appointment to the steering committee members. The minister also has been hosting at the cost of the ministry, not at our own cost. Our meetings, they did a formal inauguration for members. And when we brought the polyclonal seeds for the first time into Nigeria, that was when we had Alhaji Sabonana, as he then was the Minister of Agriculture, doing the flag off for the polyclonal seeds. You can see a cross-section. So basically, what I just want to emphasize here is we should become more collaborative as stakeholders, because we win more, you know, coming together to work as partners, not as competitors. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, you just heard that presentation, a very helpful presentation from Mr. Olorunfemi Olorutoyin. Please give him another round of applause. He's representing Pro CASHEW, who is country director for USDA West Africa. Pro CASHEW, as I said earlier, are a sponsor. So just on that, for that alone, they have been very instrumental in helping us ensure that this type of event has happened. They've actually co-sponsored this event. So please, let's congratulate them for that and for helping us be able to convene such an event. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your presentation. I'm going to invite a lady called Cherise up here from Carib Health Group, who's just going to share something with us. I won't tell you what it is, but it's just for a few minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. We have been sitting down for the last 2+ hours. So I think we need a break. Let's just go ahead and rise. Let's stand on our feet. Let's march in place. We're doing a small stretch called the coconut stretch. The coconut stretch. So are we ready? We're marching in place. We're going to spell the word coconut with our body. Okay, let's put our hands in the air, twinkle our hands. Both hands. I can't put my other hand. Okay, are we ready? We're going to the right first with a C for coconut. C, in the air, O, to the left, C, in the air, O, and for N, touch your toes, N. Those who can touch their toes, up for U, and across for T. Can we do that a bit faster? Are we ready? We're marching in place. March in place a bit faster. Let's warm up our bodies. Your hands as well to the side. Coconut, are we ready? C to the right, O at the top, C to the left, O at the top, N, touch your toes, U in the air, across for T. One more time, are we warmed up? March in place. Are we ready? We will do this a bit faster. Twinkle your hands in the air. Okay, ready. C, O, C, O, and touch your toes. U in the sky, and across for T. I think we're warmed up, sir.
Thank you very much. I certainly feel energized, a little bit more flexible after that. Anyone managed to do their 5,000 steps this morning before this? Oh, a handful of people. Well, we've just done quite a bit. So, Cherise, thank you so much for that. And I'm sure people will be making a beeline for you fairly soon. Carib Health Group, thank you. Okay, so we have come to a point in the day where we're actually going to be able to hear from some of the presenters you've seen already, some of the people who have actually provided us with their experiences from the field. We're going to now have a panel session that will be moderated, where questions that reflect some of your thoughts will be asked of the panelists, and we'll be able to get answers. And within that, we hope to be a little bit more interactive as well, so that we can pick up some questions that might be sitting on your in your minds, or you might have written down on your notebooks. That means I'm going to invite a few people up. And in the spirit of the exercise that we've just done, because we're all so very active, I'd just like you to applaud the people that I'm inviting up, because we all need encouragement. The more they're likely to share. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite up Mr. Isiaka Mohammed Salifu of CASHEW. Please keep the applause going, because we need to keep our fingers twinkled. Miss Oyin Ashaju from Julius Berger. We've got to keep our blood circulating, so keep clapping. Mr. Anthony Lewis of Fair Food. Mr. Olorunfemi Oloruntoyin of Pro Cashew, our sponsor. Are those coconut fingers twitching? Mr. Chinoyi Christopher Adaba of Cashew Desk at FMARD. Mrs. Ruth Agbo, Association of Women in Trade and Agriculture, AWITA. And to moderate the session, I'd like to invite up Adeni Kazim Adegoke of GIZ Move. The clapping stopped. Is that you? So, I'm handing you over to the moderator. Please remain active. Please remain passionate. This is going to be interesting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome again, panelists. I think it's going to be an interesting one. And we have a task to deep dive into the conversation around standardization of skills and methods for cashew processing and production. Yes, please. Okay. So because we're a number of persons here, I think I will just go by putting the question across, and we will provide our contribution accordingly. First of all, I think I'm quite happy with the setup of the panel, because we have 2 females, and I think this is very important for Cashew. Please, a round of applause for them. So, we've listened to, keynote speaker from FMAD, the permanent secretary, and also from Crane, Cocoa Research, with an overview of what the cashew sector looks like. 50 million USD by 2022. This is what cashew can fetch us. 5%, only 5% is being processed at the moment within the country. 20 to 30% lesser price is what we get from cashew compared to other nations in the global market. And we cannot overemphasize this limitation or skill gaps in the cashew sector. So this is what we want to look at today. What is the need, or is there a need for standardization of skills and methods when it comes to processing and production of cashew? And if there is, what are the benefits to cashew sector, as you are the key players in the sector, and the challenges as well? So, ladies first. I'll start with Madam, just right here.
Hello. Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Ruth Agbo, the President of Agriculture at WITA. We appreciate this program so much because I think it's coming timely for the women. Everybody that spoke today mentioned the women as the processors. You have spoken so scholarly, and AWITA is across the 36 states of Nigeria, including FCT. We are into trade, we are into agriculture. We are engaged with some ministries, departments and agencies, even with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. We cluster our women according to the products that they engage in. So we have the cluster for cashew, we have the cluster for cassava, for shea butter, and all of that. But today we are talking about cashew. My joy is that all the scholarly presentations mention women as the key players. We are here and we have seen you people today. We are going to really engage you because these women in my association, and I know for everywhere, that produce